Hello everyone and welcome to Women Engage, a program where we real women talk about real issues. We are so glad you could join us today and we'd like to invite you to engage with us by visiting our website at www.ecdadventist.org and click on the Women Engage button. Post all your questions and comments there and we'll be glad to read them and get back to you. Today we have a very interesting topic to talk about, being that in the world, we are just coming out of a crisis, the COVID-19 crisis, and we thank God He's been with us. But there's a very interesting topic we're going to talk about, and this is parenting in times of crisis. I am your host, Stella Osano, and today in the studio, I'm joined by two beautiful ladies. I'm going to give them a chance to introduce themselves, and then we'll get into the topic. Yes, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Stella, for giving me this opportunity. My name is Gladys Pichanga Marita. I'm married to Enoch Marita. And we are blessed with 4 children, ranging from all the ages, from teenage to baby. My firstborn is called Kelvin Marita, and he's 17 years old. The secondborn is Alvin Oburi, 15 years old, followed by Gloria Mora, who is 12 years old, and baby Manuel, who is 1.5 years old.
Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you.
My sister, welcome.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Stella, for having me. My name is Judy Nyakawa, married to John Nyakawa. Elder John Nyakawa is a member of Karangata Church. We have 3 sons. One of them is a citizen. Then we have a teenager. And we have the baby of the house who is 11, going 12 in another 2 weeks' time.
Oh, okay.
I work in government, so I'm glad to be here tonight.
Okay, thank you for making time to be with us. Now, I'd like to ask, maybe, I don't know if you noticed any kind of reaction from your children, or generally, what are some of the common reactions that the children reacted to this crisis?
Well, for me, there was quite a number, even starting with the baby himself, the little boy. And if I go to the teenagers first, I think most of them reacted, everyone reacted in his own way. And I came to learn them more even than I knew them before. There is this boy who used to oversleep. Others did not want to attend the online classes. There is this one who just withdrew from everything. And I don't want to mention names because, well, the girl was very much happy, and she was happy. She's at home, she's with the baby, and the little boy was a bit disturbed because of the boys. The big boys could not want him because most of the time he's disturbing them. When they want to do their things, the phone, to charge the phone, to do things, him is just on their toes.
He wants to play.
And he wants to play. So I learned that every child reacts differently to a crisis, and you needed to have known your children before for you to notice that. And I noticed quite a number of changes in my children, and because of so many teachings that we were being given in media, I was able to react immediately, and I was able to interact, and I think with time, and for now as I'm speaking, all of us are okay than when we began the journey.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like the point that you brought out, that you needed to have known your children before in order for you to know how this crisis is affecting them. Maybe we can add something.
The advantage I have, my kids are slightly older, and so for the eldest son, I think for him, he just reprogrammed his life and continued. And he actually started a project which he is very enthusiastic about, and he has had time to interact, get support where he can, and the project is making good progress. For the other boy who is a candidate, I think this was a very, very welcome break. He just felt this came at the right time. Because I think the final year exams in high school in Kenya are very demanding. And a child sometimes feel like they are almost not able to cope. And of course, again, when you are in a boarding school, everybody else is reading. Everybody else is it's a competition. So there's a sense in which a child might actually feel very, very drawn into the competitive spirit. So in a sense, I feel that for him, the break was welcome. When we asked him, how you liking this break, he said at the beginning he was very happy with it. But now when it goes into the 3rd month, 4th month, he's thinking, what? Because when you think about it, if the academic year had run as normal, we would be doing the final exams at this point. We would have started the final exams. So again, the sense in which you feel we feel pitiful for the child that they've been preparing for these exams for so long, but now it's not even clear when this will happen. For our youngest son, I think even now he's very happy with the break. He's still very happy to be at home. Mm-hmm. But one thing I must say is the danger that we now have is the social media, because now we have this home Wi-Fi thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the danger that the children are spending too much time on internet, on Facebook, on Instagram, and all those other social media platforms is very real. And the challenge for us, maybe as parents now for us, is the fact that we are still working. We didn't get the break that everybody else got. So my husband is working, I'm working. The home is running almost as it used to be. But I still believe that there's much more we can do as parents to just help each other to shape up the kids as they come along. But the final thing on this point I would like to speak to is the fact that this pandemic has allowed us as a family to have very programmed family worship. So now it's clear that at 8:30, when we do our family worship, everybody is home and all of us are ready to engage. And for me, that for me is really a big plus. So and in my own understanding, I suspect that even beyond the COVID, that would have been stabilized more than it has been in the past.
That was a very good point that you made about now continuing with the family worships at 8:30. And I remember in my home, we had tried to, put in place the worship times in the evenings. But as you said, when both parents work, it's sometimes not easy for both parents to be there at the same time. But now the crisis at least has brought out a positive point. You also mentioned something about social media, that now, because most of our children are learning from home, we've had to put internet in the home. And sometimes I'll give you an example of my son. Sometimes he's in class and then he gets tempted and puts on YouTube and then starts to watch one of his favorite cartoons or something. I don't even have a TV in the house, so I don't even know how he knows those cartoons. But those are some of the challenges, the parenting challenges that we're talking about today. So I don't know how social media has affected your children now that they are more exposed, so to speak, to the internet.
Yeah, it's really a challenge to my children and even us as parents as well, because initially we didn't have Wi-Fi. But when this online classes started, it was very expensive to use these other ways of doing it. So when we had to do it and we were actually pushed by our children, we had to sit down twice, I remember. And then we wrote down the things that we have to do with the social media and not what to do. So then we went into the business, we installed everything and we started. Initially, all that we agreed on worked very well, but after some time, everyone started hiding and doing his or her own things. Sometimes even when children get to class, you think they are learning, but they are also doing double things. Someone is on WhatsApp chatting with friends and the teacher is also talking. So it's quite a challenge. At some point, I even at night I have to take the router, but it doesn't work most of the time. Because sometimes I may just go with the young boy and then forget and sleep and the router is on the whole night. So one day we sat again. Now after reviewing it, after 1 month, I refused to pay. And then we sat down. For 5 days I was not paying. Then we sat down, we reviewed everything. And sincerely they agreed that they have gone against what we agreed on. But we sat down and reviewed and then we agreed again to start on the business again. But again, they forgot and repeated.
They got tempted.
So it's actually a challenge. It's a challenge for me. At some point, I even felt like I don't want this thing of internet, online learning. Everyone has a book. There are so many books in this house.
You can read them.
They can just read the books. Yeah. But still, one of my sons came and told me, Mom, we are adults. And even if you took the router, we can still do these things. We can even tap from the neighbor, we can, Then I'm like, no, if I took this one again, they are going to engage themselves in other activities.
Which are not desirable.
So it has really been quite a challenge for all of us, including even my small child, because for them, sometimes when it's their duty to take care of the child, they have to put on cartoons to keep him busy as they do their own things. It is really a challenge, and...
But we are learning through it.
We are learning through it, yes.
Listening to what you're saying, I am smiling because I'm like, I am not the only parent who's going through issues.
Yeah.
Because I talk to my sons every day and tell them, you know, what you're feeding your brain is what you will become. So if you keep watching these things that don't help you in any way, that's the kind of person you'll be. Okay, mommy, we will not repeat. And then when I come up, then they start saying, so and so watched this and this. And then I'm like, I thought we talked about it in the morning. So these are some of the challenges or learning curves that we are going through during this crisis time. Anything you can add to that? In
fact, the challenge, speaking to Gladys' point, the challenge with the children is so real. And if you don't have a child who has a mind of their own, they'll really get caught up. In fact, my youngest son is the one who now is in that space. He can sit for 5 hours non-stop on PS and the gadgets and stuff. And one of the bigger boys says, Mommy, you know, he doesn't have a mind of his own. He just sits here. He has no agenda, this boy. Can you help him? Can you help this boy? And you look at him and you ask him, how can you sit for 5 hours? You don't even go out to play in the sun. You don't even take a ball. Go and kick the ball. So sometimes I leave the office early and I take him for a 1 hour walk just so that he can get some fresh air.
Physical exercise.
He can even get some color on his face. Because now I've discovered he's becoming a mzungu in the process because he sits indoors too much. But the danger for me also on the internet is that your child, especially if they're playing with the PS, they could be playing with another 5-10 kids who are much older than him and he doesn't even know. And my son told me something very profound. He said, Mommy, when you see he's sitting here the whole day like this, don't think he's playing with the same people. So he has these people who have a program in their home and they have timetables so they can play PS for 2 hours and then they have to go back to their books. But he's sitting here, those ones go away for 2 hours, they come back, they find him, another Tuesday set join, and so he can be here for 8 hours. So even for us as parents, we must think about the danger that the internet exposes our kids to. And having said that, what Gladys said about a child is in class and he's doing other multiple things is so real. I told you I teach the 10, 12 years olds in church. And those kids, you ask a question and they're blank sometimes, you know. Then you discover you've been talking to some kids here, they are completely not in class. So they logged in to fulfill all righteousness according to their parents. So did you join the class? Yes, I did.
Yes, I did. But they are
but
not
ask
there.
your child in that class, what did you learn? You'll be amazed. They are clueless because they never followed anything that happened in that class.
And you
so
know,
that's real.
Yeah, it's a real challenge because if it was the usual time that we would go to church, then you would see when someone is maybe going on their phone and you say, pay attention. But now, being behind the screen, you can't really.
That is true.
Tell. So these are some of the parenting learning curves, I call them, that this crisis is bringing to us. You talked about your children asking so many questions. I don't know if you can share with us some of the questions and how you handled them. I'll start by, mine told me, okay, so what is COVID? Why do people have to wear masks? Why do we have to keep washing our hands all the time? Why can't we hug people now? Why do we have to keep, such common questions? And for me, it forced me to be able to either study more and even admit that sometimes I don't have the answers to the questions you're asking. Let us learn together. So would you like to share with us some of the questions that you may have faced in this crisis?
Well, my children, and especially the girl, was really keen on the day when she will be going back to school. So she was asking, what's like the life cycle of COVID? When does it start and when does it end? So for that one, for sure, I didn't have the right answer because, again, you don't want to give them answers which are not real. And when they discover, they'll come back to you, Mom, you lied here. So at some point, I would just teach them what a virus is, but then I would not know how it will come, how it started. Of course, we know how it started, but we didn't know when it's going to end. Because most of us thought that after 2 months, we are able to, overcome everything and go back to our normal businesses. But it extended. Now, the boy who is a candidate was wondering now, when we go back to school, how will it be? When shall we go back to school? I kept on telling him that it's next month, because for sure I thought they would, after 1 month they will go. And so the other one was asking, suppose it continues, how will we live? Because initially we feared even going to the market, even going to the supermarket. How shall we live in this home? So this one, we now decided that we are going to start small projects in the home. And for sure we started, and very many things are working. And now, because I also discovered in the process that my children have different capabilities, they have different interests, they have, different potentials. So there is this one who prefers being a farmer. So the farmer, we did farming. We could sell even an orange, we could sell what we call it, lemon, the things for COVID. And then he became the treasurer. And he was very happy. And then at the end of the day, of course, we'll ask him, so what will you do the money with? Then he says, let's pay the tithe and give the offering, then the rest we distribute amongst ourselves. You see, now it's COVID that made me to learn about this kind of thing, this capability. Yeah. Another one told me, Mom, we can start business. So I was like, which kind of business can we do at this particular point? Then he's like, in this village, there are so many boys who don't have Wi-Fi, who don't have PS. This PS in the house, we can go and put it somewhere, we can fetch money. So you see, now I saw a businessman in that home. The other one is much interested with the animals. And so for that reason, I had to go and start raising chicken again. So now we have a project of chicken running, we have farming running, but now this one of PS was a bit tricky. And I was asking him,
social gatherings.
Yes, social gatherings, and who is going to manage the thing, how will it run? It's against, of course, the wishes of most parents around. But I saw a lot of business stuff in him. So it was a good opportunity for me again to discover what my children can do other than just learning and other than just a formal kind of education. And for sure it has really worked, and we are doing a lot. And other than, we talked about the challenges of this media. So through the farming, I'm able to engage them in the farm. Like disrupting them the whole Sunday. We were just planting maize and beans. I didn't care whether they put 10 in a hole, because they will do it so that they finish and go home. But we were there while the other girl was taking care of the baby. Now you reduce, I was trying to see how can I reduce this kind of exposure to the internet all through. So through giving them those activities, then they are able to, to do something, to make use of, to do what we call it, to be reproductive in a way, and of course to engage their mind away from the internet stuff. And then another thing is that I've also tried to engage them doing a lot of activities in the house. And the one who knows to slash the compound, he can do it, and I can give him a few cents for her or for his airtime. Because I realized again they all want money. So I think it's a challenge, but as well as a learning experience.
As we said, yes.
I think I like what younger kids are able to do. It's amazing. The engagement is very interesting. My older children, the question they kept on asking me is, does government have a plan on this issue? What is government doing about it? And for example, if this thing goes to next year, what plans are we having? And when the issue of the COVID millionaires broke out, one of my older son said to me, Mommy, any people can actually make money out of a crisis like this. People don't have a conscience. And I said sometimes it's not even as bad as it looks. Sometimes it is just in the effort to try and sort out an issue, you sometimes you override all the controls, and that can come back and eat you. And then my middle son would say, my program, I have my own program. He's a footballer. So he's very programmed. In the evenings, he'll take his ball, go to the backyard and play football. He'll spend time catching up with his online classes and things. Sometimes he'll come and say, these online classes now, some people are not even joining. And then when you go to school, you still have to go back and read the same things. And then, of course, we make a joke and say, no, you guys will not go back as Form 4s, you'll go back as Form 5. As we did Form 5. So you guys are Form 5 and 6, you're going to join Form 5 and 6. But I think my youngest son, him is just amazed and dazed by this opportunity to be at home for so long. In fact, I hope they don't open school. Holiday. Little does he know that it's affecting him in terms of his academics, in terms of his age, I think for my guy, my boy who is a candidate The beauty with it is he went to school very young. So he just turned 17. So for me, I'm feeling like this disruption is good for him to grow. When he finishes his high school, he'll be good to go to the university. So I also think that for me has been a positive out of this whole scenario. Yes.
Okay. So maybe let me ask, as a family, maybe Gladys, did you have to sit down and talk about maybe the fears that the children would have about COVID? Like you mentioned, one of them asked like the life cycle of the COVID. Did you have to sit down with them and explain to them a few of the fears that they had?
Yeah, we actually sat down on several occasions. I remember mostly on Saturdays, because that's the time you will find everyone is just not having things to do. So we'll actually sit down because first of all, I taught them how it spreads and what are the basic things they can do. Of course, the elder one could challenge me, but the younger ones, I could teach them on what to do and how to do it. But still they were fearing. They were fearing that what if mom or dad gets it when they go to the market and then they are dying and they leave us? What if they bring COVID to us? Because at some point we had to go to the market. So wherever you go to the market, they come and they have to make sure that you are not touching anything in that house before you mix with them. So they were actually, like, my daughter was really fearing because I think she loves the father very much. And sometimes she could just say, Mom, you go to the market, let us stay with Daddy so that you get it. But so maybe if Mom gets it and goes, it's okay. But I think she was fearing. But I had to prepare in a way that in most of the time we could sit down and talk about it and actually assure her, because she's a person who knows much more about the Bible than me, and assure her that, these things have happened before and it is just a passing storm. It is going to pass and it will end. It will be over. But most of the time I had to be much closer to her even than before, just to assure her that we are safe. And even the fact that we live very far from the city, I told them, sisi tuko sawa, we are okay. Yeah, we will be, if by the time it reaches here, it will be ending, so we will be safe. So I kept on talking to her, and I think by now she's okay. The boys seemed to be knowing so much about COVID, and for them they didn't have much to ask me, but they looked confused. Yeah, I saw them, most of them, the two of them were confused. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, Judy, do you have any fears in your home?
In terms of dealing with COVID, I think my husband took the lead role. In fact, I remember he was so categorical. He went and bought masks, he brought soaps, the day they were announcing the lockdown, my house was looking like a supermarket. He had bought so many things, foodstuffs and everything, so we could stay the whole of the first month without a need to go to the supermarket. But he kept on saying, please wash your hands. Please wear the mask. In fact, even, me, I'm the liberal spirit in the home. So there's a day we had, after I think 2-3 Sabbaths, we said with my sisters, let's walk around and greet the people. So we left the homes, we met in the middle of the estate, and we walked from door to door, greeting people, taking photos. My husband was in shock. When he saw the pictures on the prayer cell WhatsApp, he said, what? You guys actually went to people's houses in this season? Are you serious? So he made it so clear that this thing is not a joke. We cannot take it lightly. And then he was saying, even if somebody took a picture of you guys working in the estate and it made its way to the government COVID center, you will be picked from here. You'll just be carried away from here in an ambulance. You can't do that, So he made it so clear. And I think that helped the kids to deal with it. But when we were doing the family worship, because we used the junior PowerPoint lesson to do our family worship, it was very interesting because it kept on bringing up the issues. What do you fear most? If anything happened, how would you deal with it? So that gave us opportunity to look at the issues that our children feared. And my son said something very profound. He said, Mommy, I have learned that in this life, all these things are vanity. Imagine the way we have been pushing about this KCSE and we have been reading. Look at what has happened now. Nobody's even talking about KCSE anymore. But even for me as a parent, the rush to go to school and visit and, on Sabbath leave church, drive all the way to school, sit there for like an hour and a half and come back home, it can be very draining. So in a sense, for me, this break has really helped me to energize and just get myself back together.
Yeah, and you've been able to address some of the fears that your children had. I
Yes.
remember even as she mentioned that her children feared when they would go to the market. Even my children had, I think they're still coming out of that fear. My youngest keeps asking, so when is this thing going to end? I want to go. Then he mentions all the nice places he wants to go to, you know, do his fun things, go swimming and do all manner of things. So those are the fears that we've had to address and say, it's okay to wait. We will wait until everything else, you know, calms down, and then we can go and meet with your friends and do all these fun things that you would want to. So I know this is a very interesting topic, so we'll come back again to discuss. We'll do a part 2 of parenting in crisis, but I thank you for making time to be with us, and I hope that as you have been watching this program, you have learned one or two things. I know maybe in your home you have been dealing with some of the questions and fears from your children. Maybe they're asking you, maybe you're even a medical worker or somebody who needed to be out of the home all the time and maybe in touch with the people who've personally been through the crisis. And maybe your children had fears. We'd like to hear what you have to say about that. You can visit our website, www.ecdadventist.org, and please comment and tell us how you managed to go through the fears with your children through this crisis, how you manage to parent them through this crisis, them being alone at home most of the time and you being at work. What measures did you put in place? And if it has adversely affected you, how did you go through it? And if your children faced any fears, how did you go through them? We'd like to hear from you. So please visit our website and post your comments there. We'd like to read them. We'll come back again to discuss part 2 of this program. Thank you for staying with us and see you in part 2.